Imagine this. You walk into a luxury store, excited to buy something special, something you've been saving for. But the moment you step in, the employees look at you, not with a smile, not with respect, but with judgment. They whisper, they smirk, and then, just when you're about to ask for help, they make it painfully clear. You don't belong here. What would you do? Would you walk away in silence? Would you fight back? Well, let me tell you the story of a woman who faced exactly that. And trust me, you won't believe how it ends. Every day, I dig deep into the wildest, most jaw-dropping stories out there. Stories that feel like they're straight out of a movie, but they're real. And someone, somewhere, is living through this right now. So the least we can do, spread the word. Shine a light on this kind of injustice. Because this needs to stop. Long live America. Anna walked out of the Gucci store. But the humiliation didn't stop at the door. A couple walking past gave her a pitiful glance, as if she truly didn't belong in that world. A group of young influencers filming a shopping vlog smirked as they watched her leave empty-handed. Even the reflection of herself in the glass storefront seemed to mock her. Her heart pounded, her hands clenched into fists. She could have let it go. She could have swallowed the insult, told herself it didn't matter. But the truth was, it did. Because this wasn't just about a bag. This was about how they had looked at her, how they had spoken to her, how they had judged her without knowing a single thing about her. She took a shaky breath and reached for her phone. One person. There was one person she needed to call. The moment Daniel picked up, she tried to keep her voice steady, but the words tumbled out in a rush. They threw me out, Daniel, like I was some kind of criminal. There was a pause. Then his voice, calm, but edged with steel. Where are you? I'm still outside the store. Stay there. She could hear it in his tone, the shift, the controlled fury behind his words. Daniel had spent years in the courtroom dismantling corporations that thought they were untouchable. He knew the law inside and out. And if there was one thing he hated, it was injustice. Anna turned, looking through the glass window of the store. The saleswoman who had humiliated her was laughing, talking to another associate, as if nothing had happened. As if Anna had been nothing. Not for long. 15 minutes later, a sleek black car pulled up to the curb. Daniel stepped out, adjusting the cuffs of his tailored suit. He was the kind of man who didn't need to raise his voice to command attention. His presence alone was enough. When he reached Anna, he didn't ask if she was okay. He didn't need to. He could see it in her eyes. Instead, he turned to the store, jaw tight. "Let's go," he said. Together, they walked back through the glass doors. This time, the employee's reaction was different. The saleswoman, still smug from earlier, glanced up, only for her expression to falter when she saw the sharp, calculating look in Daniel's eyes. "Good afternoon," he said smoothly. "We'd like to see the manager." The woman hesitated, clearly unsure. Then, with a forced smile, she gestured toward the back. "Right this way." The manager's office was a sleek, modern space, lined with framed photos of exclusive Gucci events. Behind the desk sat a man in his 50s, dressed in an expensive suit, looking up with polite disinterest. "How can I help you?" he asked. Daniel stepped forward, his voice steady, almost casual. "My wife came here today to make a purchase. Instead, she was humiliated, insulted, and physically escorted out. That's unacceptable. I'd like to know exactly what your store policy is regarding customer treatment." The manager frowned, glancing at Anna. I apologize if there was a misunderstanding, but our associates are trained to identify— Identify what? Daniel interrupted, his voice dangerously soft. Customers who don't look wealthy enough. Customers who you think don't deserve to shop here. The manager shifted uncomfortably. Sir, I assure you— Daniel pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, and then turned it around. A recording played. It was a crystal-clear audio clip of the saleswoman's voice. Maybe you'd be more comfortable in our clearance section. I'll let security escort you out. Anna's eyes widened. She hadn't even noticed Daniel recording. The manager's face drained of color. Now, Daniel continued, placing his phone down on the desk, let's talk about what happens next. Silence filled the office. And for the first time that day, Anna wasn't the one feeling small. She was just getting started. The room felt colder. The manager sat frozen, his gaze darting between Daniel and the phone on his desk. The recording was undeniable. There was no way to spin it, no excuse that could undo what had already been said. But still, he tried. Mr. Carter, he began, his voice carefully measured. I truly apologize for any inconvenience your wife may have experienced today, but I'm sure you understand. Our employees follow protocol when determining how to best assist customers. Daniel's expression remained unreadable. Protocol? The manager gave a tight smile. We strive to ensure our brand maintains a certain exclusivity. Our sales associates are trained to cater to our clientele accordingly. Anna clenched her fists. There it was again. The same arrogance, the same assumption that some people were worthy of respect while others weren't. Daniel leaned forward slightly, his presence dominating the space. Tell me something, he said, his voice quiet but sharp as a knife. Did exclusivity include publicly humiliating my wife? Did it include having a security guard physically remove her, despite her doing nothing wrong? The manager hesitated. He knew he was cornered. He opened his mouth to speak. But Daniel wasn't done. Let me make something very clear, he continued, slipping his phone back into his pocket. We're not here for an apology. We're here for accountability. So I'm going to ask you one last time. What happens next? The manager swallowed. Sir, A knock at the door interrupted him. A young assistant peeked inside, her face pale. Sir, there's a situation out front. The manager frowned. What kind of situation? She hesitated. People are recording. They're asking about a woman being thrown out of the store. Anna's heart skipped a beat. Daniel merely smiled. Looks like the story's already spreading. The manager shot up from his seat, storming past them and out of the office. Daniel and Anna followed, stepping back into the main showroom. And the moment they did, Anna saw it. A small crowd had gathered near the entrance. Some were whispering. Others were holding up their phones, recording. A few news reporters had already arrived, their cameras pointed at the store. And right in the center of it all, the saleswoman who had humiliated Anna, looking pale and shaken, as a reporter shoved a microphone toward her. Can you confirm why this customer was removed from the store? The reporter asked. Was it company policy or was it discrimination? The woman stammered, glancing wildly at the manager as if silently begging for help. The manager cleared his throat, forcing a smile as he stepped forward. There's been a misunderstanding, he announced, loud enough for the cameras to hear. This establishment does not discriminate. We value all of our customers. A man from the crowd scoffed. That's not what I heard on the recording. The murmurs grew louder. Someone else shouted, Say her name! Apologize to her face. The manager's composure cracked. He turned back to Anna, his expression stiff. "We deeply regret what happened today," he said, forcing the words out. "And we would like to offer you a personal shopping experience, along with any item of your choice, free of charge." The saleswoman's eyes widened in shock, but she wisely kept her mouth shut. Anna, however, didn't hesitate. She smiled. "Oh, that's very generous of you. But you see, I didn't come here looking for a handout." The manager's face twitched. He hadn't expected that. Daniel stepped forward, resting a hand lightly on Anna's back. "You didn't just disrespect my wife," he said, addressing the entire store now. "You disrespected every person who's ever been judged unfairly, who's ever been made to feel like they don't belong. And now the world is watching." The cameras flashed. The whispers turned into nods of agreement. Anna took a breath. "I don't need your free gifts," she said. "I need to know, what are you going to do to make sure this never happens again?" The manager hesitated. He glanced at the cameras, the growing crowd, the pressure building from every direction. Finally, with no other choice, he sighed. "We'll be making immediate policy changes and issuing a formal statement." Anna held his gaze. "Good." Then, without another word, she turned and walked out of the store with her head held high. And this time, the only looks she got were ones of admiration. The moment Anna and Daniel stepped out of the store, the cool evening air felt different, lighter, charged. The murmurs of the crowd followed them, hushed at first, then growing louder as people processed what had just happened. "Anna, right!" someone called out. She turned, surprised to see a young woman with a phone in hand recording. "You handled that like a queen," the woman continued, a smile breaking across her face. That was powerful. Anna felt a strange mix of emotions, gratitude, disbelief, even a little exhaustion. She had walked into that store expecting a normal shopping trip. Instead, she had walked out having made a statement. Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder, his steady presence grounding her. "You okay?" he asked, quietly. Anna nodded. "Yeah, just trying to take it all in." She had spent years biting her tongue, brushing off slights, convincing herself that moments like these weren't worth the fight. But tonight, something had shifted. She glanced back at the store. Through the glass, the manager was still talking to a reporter, his posture tense. The saleswoman stood frozen nearby, her arms crossed tightly, her expression unreadable. "Come on," Daniel said gently. "Let's go home." But just as they turned to leave, another voice rang out. "Excuse me, ma'am." Anna turned and found herself face to face with a well-dressed woman in her 50s, her silver hair pulled into a sleek bun. Unlike the others, she wasn't holding a phone, wasn't recording, but there was something in her eyes, something intense. "My name is Evelyn Grant," the woman said, extending a hand. "I'm an attorney, and I'd love to talk to you about what just happened in there." Anna hesitated before shaking her hand. "Nice to meet you, Miss Grant, but I think my husband has the legal side of things covered." Evelyn's eyes flicked toward Daniel, recognition flashing across her face. "Daniel Carter," she said, her tone shifting slightly. "I've followed your work. Your firm is known for taking on high-profile corporate cases." Daniel gave a polite nod. "That's right." Evelyn's lips curved into a small, knowing smile. "Then you know, as well as I do, that this isn't just about a single bad employee. This is about systemic issues that run deep in companies like this one." Anna felt her pulse quicken. "You think there's more to it?" Evelyn sighed. "I know there is. The number of complaints against this brand in particular, let's just say you're far from the first person they've treated this way. The difference is, tonight, people actually saw it happen. Anna exchanged a look with Daniel. "You're saying we should sue," he said flatly. Evelyn tilted her head. "I'm saying we should expose them." For a moment, Anna wasn't sure what to say. The thought of dragging this into a full-blown legal battle felt overwhelming. She had never wanted to be at the center of something like this. But then she remembered the look on that saleswoman's face, the way she had enjoyed humiliating her. She thought about all the other people who had been treated like she had, except they didn't have a lawyer for a husband. They didn't have cameras recording. And suddenly, she knew exactly what she wanted to do. "What would that look like?" Anna asked. Evelyn's smile widened. "Let's grab a coffee and talk strategy." The cafe was quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos they had just left behind. The warm scent of espresso filled the air as Anna, Daniel, and Evelyn sat at a corner table, their voices low but intense. Evelyn pulled out a sleek leather folder and flipped it open, revealing a stack of documents. "I've been gathering complaints against this brand for months," she explained. "Discrimination, wrongful termination, even cases of racial profiling. Most of these never saw the light of day because, let's be honest, who wants to take on a billion-dollar corporation?" Anna swallowed hard as she skimmed the documents. Customer after customer describing eerily similar experiences, being ignored, insulted, or flat-out denied service. Some employees had even spoken out only to be fired. "This is—" Anna trailed off, shaking her head. "It's worse than I thought." Daniel leaned back, arms crossed. "You want to file a class action lawsuit?" Evelyn nodded. "Exactly. The problem with cases like this is that most people don't have the resources to fight back. They feel powerless. But Anna, you have something they don't." Anna blinked. "What's that?" Evelyn smiled. "A platform." Anna frowned. "I don't have a platform." Evelyn arched a brow. "Are you sure about that?" She pulled out her phone, tapped a few times, then turned the screen toward Anna. Anna's stomach flipped. A video of her confrontation at the store was already online. And it was going viral. Thousands of shares, comments flooding in, news outlets picking it up. People calling for boycotts, for action, for justice. "People are listening, Anna," Evelyn said. "You have their attention. The question is, what do you want to do with it?" Anna's hands trembled slightly as she scrolled through the comments. Some were filled with outrage at the store, others with admiration for how she had handled it. And then there were the personal stories, people sharing their own experiences, their own moments of humiliation. She could feel it now, the weight of something bigger. Daniel studied her carefully. "This is your call," he said softly. "I'll support whatever you decide." Anna took a deep breath. A week ago, she would have walked away. A week ago, she would have convinced herself that standing up wouldn't change anything. But now, she knew better. She looked up, meeting Evelyn's eyes. "Let's do it." Evelyn's smile was sharp. "Good choice." The following days passed in a blur of meetings, press releases, and late-night phone calls. Anna felt like she was living in a whirlwind. But for the first time in her life, it was one she was choosing to be a part of. The story she had unknowingly become the face of was gaining momentum by the hour. The store's corporate office had issued a statement, attempting to deflect blame onto the rogue employees involved in the incident. But it was too late. People weren't buying it anymore. Anna's video had sparked a wave of collective outrage. Everyone, from local news outlets to national social media influencers, was rallying behind her. They saw a powerful woman standing up for what was right, and they couldn't help but applaud her. But the backlash wasn't only directed at the store's management. No, the public's response was much broader. Anna's story had resonated with people. They didn't just see her as a victim of poor service. They saw her as a symbol of the way many corporations had treated their customers, insulting them, belittling them, and getting away with it because of their power. Then came the phone call. Anna was sitting in her living room, flipping through some paperwork, when Daniel came in, his face unreadable. "Anna," he began, his voice low, "it's the CEO's office." Anna's heart skipped a beat. "They want to meet with you," Daniel continued. Anna raised an eyebrow. "Meet with me? After everything they've done?" Daniel nodded. "They want to make things right, or at least look like they do. They're offering a settlement and an apology." Anna felt a sickening twist in her stomach. "A settlement," she repeated. "I don't want their money. I want accountability." "I know," Daniel said, his eyes soft with understanding. "But we can use this as leverage." Anna stood up, her decision clear. "I'm not going there just to listen to them grovel. I'm going to make sure they know they can't just buy their way out of this." A week later, Anna sat across from the CEO and a group of his senior executives in a sleek conference room, the kind that felt almost too cold. The tension in the air was palpable. The CEO, a middle-aged man in a well-tailored suit, spoke first. "We understand your concerns, Ms. Carter. We're deeply sorry for the incident that took place in our store, and we want to make things right." Anna didn't flinch. "Sorry isn't good enough," she replied firmly. The CEO blinked, clearly thrown off. He wasn't used to people challenging him, especially not a woman. She leaned forward. "You've been treating customers like dirt for years. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This is part of a larger pattern. You either hold your employees accountable,